Good day, Philippines! This is Maxine from 89.9 Radio FM. Just in, Super Typhoon Odette will enter the Philippine Area of Responsibility, or PAR, at a maximum wind speed of 230 kilometers per hour according to Pag-asa. And that's our weather forecast for today at 89.9 DZBB. Stay safe and stay dry.
Did you hear that? We've got a super typhoon ahead of us. It really is the typhoon season here in the Philippines, so we must be always ready.
Yeah, I know. You know what? That actually reminded me of a film we just watched recently. The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. Now that I think about it, why don't we have a little story time with our friends?
Hi friends! The story we are going to unfold is a one-of-a-kind biographical film that follows the true story of William Kamkwamba from a small village in Malawi, Africa. Just like what is happening in the Philippines today, Malawi is also facing the same adversity that threatens the life of its people.
And unlike any other biopic films, The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind does not sugarcoat the dire and intense nature of the issues it explores. Throughout the course of the film, different themes were blatantly exhibited and became the main driving force that motivates the plot, the conflict, and the characters. The central conflict that was presented from beginning to end was William's determined efforts to survive the devastating effects of crippling poverty, famine, and the lack of quality education that plagues their village.
William's situation undoubtedly goes a long way. The themes present throughout the film show that although life may be difficult, there will always be a glimmer of hope in one way or another. The narrative presented in the film showed its relevance towards the UN Sustainable Development Goals in such a way that it told a real-life case of the current problems faced by the world today. These mentioned problems are identical to that of the UN Sustainable Developmental Goals aimed to fix by 2030.
1, 2, 3, I know you're there. 4, 5, 6, come hear me sing about the things I wanna change in the world we're living in. 7, 8, it's never too late. 9 and 10, let's make a change. 11, 12, you know I can't do it by myself. I'm saying I need you. 12, 14, to make the world as beautiful you've ever seen. 15, 16, 17, SDG go.
Hi friends, I'm SDG1, No Poverty. In the village of central Malawi resided citizens who led tough lives, devastated by natural disasters left and right. The lifestyles and livelihoods of locals are greatly affected. Just as food items became in short supply, the demand for these heightened, much as their prices did too. People had to save everything merely to get by. Candidly, they were in a tight spot financially. With this, education for children was also affected. William's family had barely enough to feed their children, let alone send them off to school. Citizens of Malawi were further plunged into poverty, making living conditions worse with each passing day. This is where I, the UN Sustainable Development Goal number 1, would then work to restore villages similar to this to allow people to live a better and more comfortable life as they push towards a more promising future.
Hi friends, I'm SDG2, Zero Hunger. At the peak of the drought, people lost a lot. Not only did they lose food, but also livelihood along with lives. They had to budget for everything.
Malawi is preparing for a very long hungry season.
Food was to go scarce for extended periods, and not everyone had anything to put on their plates. With that, it has gotten to a point where citizens hurt, steal, and betray one another in hopes of surviving for themselves amidst these challenging and desperate times. It was every family for their own and every man for his own. That said, here depicts how hunger and malnutrition still occur and how rampant these are in the real world. While the situation in Malawi shows the opposite of what the second of the UN Sustainable Development Goals, is fighting for, it nevertheless reveals the harsh and sad reality that unfortunate people are continually facing every day. It is indeed not an easy task to completely eradicate. However, it is not impossible to make a change in suffering communities, much like we have seen William do the same for his people.
Hi friends, I am SDG3, Good Health and Well-Being. With the government neglectful of its people, a chief chose to speak up about the reality and mistreatments within the community. Unamused, the same chief was thrashed near to death and was left alone as things wreaked havoc. Weakened, the beaten leader was brought to a safer place rather than the clinic. There was nobody there to help them. Within this closed, small dwelling, people did everything they could to ease the pains of the hurt chief. With this being another case of a struggle from fulfilling the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Again, it exposes how such situations still occur in today's century. Being the United Nations Sustainable Goal number 3, this case was truly saddening. Similar to the citizens of Malawi, the chief could not enjoy what I fight for, especially as their physical, mental, and social being are at stake due to the overall condition of their community.
Hello there, I'm STD number 4, Quality Education. Education is one of the most important things that an individual can possess. William has always been that boy who showed a genuine and strong interest in studying. Although he was part of the family not so fortunate, he never lost his will and passion to learn every single day. A boy that would go as far as sneaking out the house at night, finding a way to study, whether without a kerosene lamp. He did not allow any opportunity for education to slip away. However, due to financial circumstances, he could no longer continue as imposed by the school guidelines. Despite this, William opted to get into school, even through unethical ways, until he was caught and expelled completely. Indeed, it is unfortunate how individuals like him are deprived of the right to education. However, going forward into the future, free education is not impossible for bright and optimistic youngsters like him, as I work hard to improve schooling systems for all boys and girls alike.
Hi friends, I'm SDG5, Gender Equality. Women are more than their roles at home. They can possess as much strength and achievement just as a man does. The stories show how they too can be resilient against trying times. They can protect, empathize, and sacrifice for the good of their families. Agnes knew and believed this. Likewise, she thought the same for her daughter Annie. There was so much more in store for Annie's future. However, due to the plight of times, Anne was prompted to run away with her lover, in the belief that there is nothing more for her in her village. Here comes the importance of empowering women, as I would like to emphasize. Not only do I specifically aim to empower women, but also protect their welfare against all discrimination against them.
Hi friend, I'm SDG16 Water and Sanitation. Water is just as valuable as food at times of scarcity. It can not only provide people with sanitation to keep them disease-free, but it can also hydrate humans, animals, and plants alike. Every individual has the right to access clean water for themselves or their livelihood as a state. However, without the proper facilities and tools, acquiring such significant resource may prove to be arduous for most people. Much like was the case for the farmers of Lumbi, where it was dry season, the water became harder to collect. Thus, the quick drying of crops leading to the eventual financial loss of farmers. With this, William used the help of a windmill to help support a water pump, which served as the facility that granted the farmer water in watering the drylands.
Hello guys, I am SDG number 7, Affordable and Clean Energy, and I am SDG number 9, Industry, Innovation, and Infrastructure. And lastly, I am SDG number 12, Responsible Consumption and Production. Applying what William learned from school from scratch, he led the building of a windmill that provided his people with affordable and clean energy. Harnessing the strength of the wind, he brought electricity and then water to assist and till the dry lands of his village. Despite constructing this powerful tool from scraps, in return was inexpensive energy that helped improve the working environment for the convenience of farmers, thus reviving their source of food and income. It was this innovation that allowed the people of Wimbe to rise again from the troubles brought by all the problems in their community. The renewable energy made by the windmill allowed the responsible consumption of energy. William's stories showcases how people's lives are made more advantageous should they have the access to power at an economical price, as generated by natural resources, stated by yours truly.
Hi friends, I'm SDGA, Decent Work and Economic Growth. To catalyze your invigorated government policy advancement and intercontinental cooperation for economic development, the green economy, among its varied incarnations, has been suggested as a method of catalyzing renewed national policy progress and international coordination and integration for sustainability. Analyzing the film, where it has been stated that the tobacco industry or state had become a competitor for the farmers that live off by planting tobacco, as well conceivably one of the causes why they are left off without decent work, which in the long run disrupts the economic growth of the country. This is what I, Decent Work and Economic Growth, have been campaigning for to maintain per capita economic growth in conformity to national priorities, including a minimum of 7% annual gross domestic product or GDP in developing nations.
Hello mga besi ko, I'm SDG number 10, known as Reducing Inequalities. William being expelled for failing to pay the term to acquire a library card is only a subtle representation of how most schools, even in the urban areas, operate.
Collect your things and go!
Assist in achieving inclusion and reducing inequalities and outcomes, particularly to enforcing appropriate legislation, policies, and actions among various areas in the world, as well as removing oppressive policies, standards, and guidelines is the advocacy of SDG number 10, me, reducing inequalities. Understanding that education is a right rather than taking it as a privilege is one of the conflicts that hinder not just William, but many children living in poverty line in varying countries as well.
Hi friends, I'm SDG 11, Sustainable Cities and Communities. Throughout the film, the village where the setting took place, houses and even school facilities were undoubtedly inferior, with an obvious lack of facilities, equipment, and instructors to accommodate the attending students. Focus on ensuring that everyone has full rights to decent, secure, and cost-effective housing and basic amenities, as well as rehabilitating slums, is one of my goals. 11. Sustainable Cities and Communities. Moreover, seeing what the only means of transportation readily available to Malawi, which is the use of bicycles, the said SDG stands to improve safety on the road, particularly by broadening mass transit, with respect to the importance of everyone in precarious circumstances. Women, kids, individuals with disabilities, and senior citizens by providing access to adequate, low-cost, attainable, and feasible transport networks for everyone.
Hi friends, I'm SDG 16, Peace, Justice, and Strong Institutions. At the national and international levels, upholding the judicial system and making it more likely so that everyone will have equitable access to justice is my goal. 16 Peace, Justice, and Strong Institutions. Fair and just implementation promote the rule of law, limiting illegitimate money and weapon flow dramatically, improving asset acquisition and restoration, encountering all types of criminal networks, eliminating all types of graft and corruption to a significant extent in hopes that scenario like what was shown in the film where the village chief was beaten because of his attempt to speak up for the needs of his people, leading later in his demise, wouldn't foster any longer.
What a comprehensive explanation from our STG friends. Now, some of our other friends are getting curious about how did the theme of the story relate to the contemporary setting of the Philippines.
Exactly. And I definitely know the people who could answer this question. Our student leaders, Faith and Maxine.
Hey everyone! The boy who harnessed the wind revolves around the adversity of the Malawi people. Political, cultural, and social change. It treads social destitution maladies like the heat of the sun, William's tenacity blow like the wind. This story takes a raw discourse to reality. A real story, a struggle, a vision, and a success. But before William's windmill spin, as his demise with social inequality, Malawi people come to terms with daily survival, a fleeting struggle shared by significant communities worldwide. According to Philippine Statistics Agency, or PSA, roughly 23.7% of Filipinos are crippled by poverty. Filipinos in the hangar of survival that cannot sustain the bare minimum of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. In Manila, the capital of the Philippines, 23.1 million Filipinos are poor. Even a major city cannot vow to the safety of its people. And what more to the remote areas that are far rich of job and market.
In the film, when the famine brought upon hunger, the average cost of rice decreased 5 times. A contemporary issue of the Philippines as a surge of inflation pushed by the pandemic that averages to 4.5% takes a hike with new fateful circumstances. For Malawi and Filipino people, poverty and survival are the shorelines of their shared resilient spirit. William as the epitome of this character. But more than that, we also shared a connection with the land, forest, and harvest, an economy carried by agriculture. But sadly, we also shared the unfavorable works of nature, localized as El Niño and La Niña, inducing decreased agricultural production that leads to famine.
Even though agriculture is one of the foundations of the Philippine food chain, the government still creates to give emphasis in improving local production. Politicians that turn a blind eye to the societal issue, and our chiefs that stands up for social change. Today, Filipino farmers plead to the President to fulfill his promise and fully enforce the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program or CARP, because the farmers' families are hungry, ill, and unemployed to survive. Because of this, the same situation like Williams is currently happening here in the Philippines. The number of out-of-school youths or OCY in the Philippines are rapidly increasing, especially during this pandemic. According to Philippine Statistics Agency or PSA, the number of OCY rise to 8% or 8.3 million of estimated 39.3 Filipinos ages 6 to 24 years old.
As it appears throughout the film, William is indeed a natural, brilliant child. However, because of this dilemma, it's not only the food that they are starving for, but also the education. Likewise in the Philippines, there could be many possibilities if everyone has an opportunity to have a proper education.
Indeed, a very informative one, student leaders. But before we move on, I think we should also consider giving out our suggestions as students, as future holders of this planet. Shantel, please take it away.
As learning and growing individuals, this can serve as a start for us to be more aware of our surroundings. Yes, it was in Malawi. However, these forms of adversity are everywhere, even in our community today. Poverty is very present and considered as one of the massive economic and social issues existing since the start of human As privileged students get to take up their education, we can use this awareness and be the voice to escalate this into a more attended matter. We have the intellectual capabilities, proficiency, and logical adequacy to present this issue with enough relevance. But awareness without action is worthless, as said by Philip Brown. As we all know, the power and use of technological communication have become the worldwide real-time newspaper. A viral issue can effortlessly be known and reach all parts of the world in just a couple of minutes. Consequently, global attention can't be easily drawn to a significant issue until it is presented in the media. We had Australian forest fire that lasted for over 5 months, left hundreds of people homeless, and buildings burnt. The Philippines typhoon Goni affected 68.6 million people, and any other nationwide calamities that were assisted and funded by the international associations and the people simply brought by the public media. Who knows what is going on there if we don't have the internet and other technological gadgets for us to personally see the occurrence.
Although it might not be a straightforward course of action, we believe that through the use of media, we can furthermore create a massive awareness like any other media producer did, and have the power to draw the public attention to something. We need our friends, community, and people to know what is taking place in that certain region, Malawi, or generally in Africa. For years and years, Africa is known to be the poorest continent among all, and almost 1 in 2 African people lives below the poverty line. Yet, until today, this adversity in Africa that is going on for a long time now seems to have not reached enough public attention to fully make the people and universal attention devoted to attending towards it. Yes, the charities, organizations, and associations to control world poverty would not be left behind, for they are the passageway from the people all over the world to the people in Africa. But we couldn't do that if the world is simply not aware. But not only that, we have witnessed how important the life of plants and crops in the film, haven't we? It is their daily source of food. Let me say it again, daily source of food. So by that, we think that it is vital to focus on providing enough support and nourishment to our local farmers who has the ability to provide crops and goods. Although this may seem like a long shot to sustaining the UN goals, it is nothing but a step towards global progress. The irony of how our farmers are the ones who provide us food, but ending up starving is a reality that is very much relevant until this day. Supporting our farmers will not just help them, but it strengthens our local economy and community as well, that will significantly help us to achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals. What a roller coaster of journey it is, right, Shantel?
We just got a broadcasted weather update, and now we're discussing on how to change the world through the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. It really is a wild ride.
You know what? I think it is time to say that watching that film is a big eye-opener for us towards societal issues. We get to recognize the life of most Africans and their adversities that consequently led us to observing the same thing here in our country.
Plus, it gave us the opportunity to think and reflect on how we could alter the system someday. Therefore, making the world a better and healthier place, once and for all.
Thank you for watching and taking the time to listen to our presentation.
Until next time,
Bye-bye.
1, 2, 3, I know you're there. 4, 5, 6, come hear me sing about the things I wanna change in the world we're living in. 7, 8, it's never too late. 9 and 10, let's make a change. 11, 12, you know I can't do it by myself. I'm saying I need you. 12, 14, to make the most beautiful you've ever seen. 15, 16, 17 SDG goals to make a better place.